Okay, so welcome back. Today we're going to look at a free and open source piece of software called CSVHelper. So what is CSVHelper? Well, as you can probably imagine from the name, it helps you when dealing with CSV or comma separated value text files. And in the science engineering world, those can be really important. If you're writing software, you can use them as a nice way to get feedback on what's going on in your software. Also, you can use it for input data, for output data, really very useful. And like I say, CSVHelper is a .NET library for reading and writing CSV files. Now, I'm at the GitHub website for CSVHelper. It's at joshclose.github.io, and it's got a lot of information on it. Previously, we did a video talking about CSVHelper, and we talked about using it for one area that I tend to use it for most often. And that is what you see in this CSV file here. It's a rather more complicated CSV file. And CSVHelper is really good at grabbing a line of comma-separated values from a file, as you can see here, and automatically generating a class object representing that line of data and automatically populating the properties of that class object with the data that's in that line of CSV values. So we showed you how to use a fairly complicated CSV file like this, where I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different classes of data in a single CSV file. And we showed you how to configure CSVHelper so that you could read into the 5 different classes. We could instantiate and read all of these properties into the appropriate class object in this file. So really very helpful way to generate a list of class objects for different types of classes in your application. Now, what we didn't talk about is a more standard CSV file, and the type of CSV file I think most people consider, and that is what you see here, where we have a whole bunch of data, comma-separated values of data in each line, and we've got one header line at the top, and all the rest of the data is just CSV values. And what this is kind of a standard CSV where you can define one class in your code and automatically generate a list of class objects from each line from the CSV file and populate the properties that are defined in this header line up on top. And you can see the first line has names of the properties in the class that you're going to populate a whole list of classes from this data. So what you do is you set up a header line that has the name of the property. And this has to match exactly the property of the class in your code. And if that matches, it automatically says, okay, the first line says this property, the first CSV property is this time property. So all of these, when you read it in, it's going to take the first property, the first comma separated value, and populate the time property of that class object. And it's really nice because if you have a correctly formatted CSV file like this, in like one line of code, you can automatically read these in and populate them and get a list of class objects with all of this data. And then you've got this big list of class objects you can just step through and extract the data and process it and filter it however you want to do it. So we're going to show you in this video how you can set that up and how easy it is in CSVHelper. So here is my application, and basically all I'm going to do is I'm going to load a CSV file and have CSVHelper take each line of that file and generate and populate a class object and give me a list of all of those lines of data as class objects. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to have a button load event. And this is a basic open file dialog. We've done this before. Open file dialog OFD is new open file dialog. We can have an initial directory, whatever you want it to be. We set that up previously. And then we're going to have our OFD filter, which is CSV files in this format, and then it will only show you the CSV files. And then the standard open file dialog result is open file dialog, show dialog. If it's okay, we're going to grab the file name. And once we've got that, we can do the read CSV file, which is going to use CSVHelper. Pretty straightforward. Now, as we showed before, to get CSVHelper, you've got to go into Tools, NuGet Package Manager, Manage NuGet Packages for Solution, and go to CSVHelper. And you can see the first one that comes up is CSVHelper by Josh Close. 233 million downloads, so you can see it's really, really popular. This is all we're going to need if we're going to use a standard CSV format like this. So we just download CSVHelper. I assume you know how to do that, and I've already got it installed. Once we've got that, then we can then go into generating this read CSV file that uses CSVHelper to read the data. So here is the read CSV file. And this is all it takes to read in this file and generate a list of class objects from that file. Really very straightforward. We start out with using stream reader. We're going to call it reader. Is a new stream reader with the string file name where it's going to read from. And then we're going to use a using CSV reader. We're going to call it CSV. And keep in mind, you're going to have a using CSVHelper here to use CSVHelper. So using CSV reader, call it CSV, is new CSV reader. And then we're going to specify this reader we've already defined. And then we're going to say culture info.invariant culture. You can look at the documentation. You may have to modify that, but in our case, we're just going to use that. And then all we're going to do is define a list of class objects. In our case, we have this class called bboxinfo, and you can see we've got the first value is a date time value, and it's called time, and you can see it matches exactly the name in the header. The next one is num bbox. It matches x top left, and so on. So it's really important that these names match what are in the header. So we've now got a list of bboxinfo classes that we've specified up here. List of bboxinfo. And CSVHelper is going to populate that list. And all we have to do is say csv.getRecords of class type bboxinfo. And it will use that CSV reader and automatically read this entire file, recognizing the first line is a header, and it will convert that to an IEnumerable, and then we're using toList to convert that to a list. And now, once this is done, it will give us a list of every line of that file as a class object, and now we've got a list. And all we have to do is go through and process that list of data where each object has got all of those properties. And here we're just running a method that will take that list of class objects with all those properties and go through and modify it, filter it, process it, whatever you want to do. And that's it. That's all you need to do to read a standard CSV file format using CSVHelper. So that's about it for this one. If you're liking these videos, I encourage you to hit the like button, subscribe, hit the bell notifications. But most of all, please let others know that we're here so we get some views. Really appreciate it. Otherwise, take care. Have a really good day. Thanks.